Welcome guys for the next episode in this series of Core Java, and today's topic of discussion is data types and wrapper classes in Java. By date we have been studying data type from C onwards. So in Java we have two main categories of data types. First are the primitive data types and the non-primitive data types. These are two main categories of data types in Java: the primitive data type and the non-primitive data type. So now let's understand the keyword primitive. So we've heard of primitive technology. So the technology which the Stone Age man would use. So all the equipments which the Stone Age man would use are the primitive tools. All these tools are called as these are basic tools. So when invention started in the beginning, what tools we had, those basic tools are called as primitive tools. And then later on, as technology advanced, we have advanced tools also. So similarly, in data type, we have primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Primitive data types are the types which we've been studying all this while from C, C++ onward. They are total 8 in number. So character, byte, short, integer, long, float, double, boolean. Observe, they all start with a small character, with a small letter. Character with a small c, byte with a small b. In fact, it's char, not even character. It's char with a small c, byte with a small b. So these we have been studying. So these are your basic data types, the primitive data types, which we have been using from C onwards. Like these tools, which were invented millions of years ago, and we are still using it. Some people still use it. Similarly, these are your primitive data types, the basic building blocks, the basic data types. Then we have your non-primitive data types, or the advanced data types in Java. So when we make a class, when I make a class, so when I write class student, it's like I am gifting Java a new data type, a new data type to student. So with integer, what I make is integer I. What is this I? This I is the variable, and this integer is a built-in data type. Similarly, with student, I can make its object. So student, and I'll make object s1, right? So when I make a class, it's like I'm see, gifting Java a new data type. So these are your non-primitive, your advanced data types, which the user can define. So your classes, your interfaces, and your arrays are your non-primitive data type. Wrapper classes help us switch between them. So I'll just give you a brief overview of wrapper classes. Wrapper classes help us to switch between primitive to non-primitive, non-primitive to primitive. Now, why is there a need of switching from primitive to non-primitive? Because in your advanced version of Java, the Java which we use in your machine learning, data science, all the trending technologies which are going on in the IT industry. So in that you have a term called as collection. This we will study in advanced Java. So in collection, so your it's similar to an array. Just the difference is array is a group of primitive, like your array of integers, array of floats, and they all are homogeneous, right? Array we know is homogeneous. So if an array is of integer, will be integer throughout. If an array is of float, will be float throughout. Can we have two integers and three floats in an array? Not allowed. But a collection is a group of non-primitives, means objects. Collection is a grouping of objects only. You cannot have primitives in a collection. I cannot store integer in a collection. I cannot store float in a collection. Collection is only made for objects, for non-primitives only. So, and this topic is very important in your practical life as a software developer. So from Java we will switch on to other branches of Java, which is machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science. So for that you got to have a thorough understanding of collections, and collection only works on non-primitives. Collection doesn't work on primitives. So what if I want to store a integer, the int, which is a primitive type? into a collection, what will I have to do? So if I'll have to convert this primitive into a non-primitive, so for that we have wrapper classes. For that we have wrapper classes. So if in future you wish to convert an integer, which is an integer primitive, into a non-primitive, into an object, then you have to use wrapper classes. So let's now jump to the explanation of these data types. So primitive data types are mainly in two categories: integer type and floating type. Yes, you all know what are integer types: non-fractional numbers, and what are floating points: fractional numbers. There are four types of integer type: byte, short, integer, long, depending on the length of the data you wish to store. So if you want to store very small data which ranges from less than 128, so let's say storing roll numbers are normally in a class you have 60 students, so roll number will always be less than 128. Then storing age, so age also usually is less than 128, so for that you can use byte. If the number increases to a higher level in thousands, so if for hundreds you can use byte, for thousands you can use short, for million and billions you can use integer and long. Similarly, for less precision decimal number and for high precision decimal number. So these are your two categories of primitive type. So integer types are your byte, short, int, long, and floating types are your float and double. Now each has a range associated with it, as I gave you a briefing. So if a number is between this range minus 128 to positive 127, if the number is between this range, then only you can use it as a byte. So you can declare a variable as byte if you wish to store the age or the roll number, because it will take only 1 byte of memory. Short is from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. If the number is between this range, then you can use the short. Short is of 2 bytes, integer in Java is of 4 bytes, and the range of integer is this, and long is of 8 bytes, and this is the range of long. Similarly for float and double. So if float is of 4 bytes and double is of 8 bytes. Boolean we know only stores two values, true or false, and it's of 1 bit, and character is of 2 bytes in Java. Character, anything between a single quote is a character. So A in a single quote is a character, at the rate in a single quote is a character, dot in a single quote is a character, even the number 1 in a single quote is a character. Anything within a single quote is a character. Now, what is the main difference between primitive and non-primitive? Let's study this. So primitives are your variables and non-primitives are your objects. Simple if I want to term them. So your variables are your primitives and your objects are your non-primitives. So for variables you need integer, character, float, and for objects you need a class. So primitive, so all the variables are predefined. All the 8 variables are predefined, and the objects, you have to first define a class and then make its object. So they are created by the programmer. Only one class you get ready made, that is your string class. That's why starting with a capital S. So all your non-primitive, they start with a capital, your primitive start with a small letter. So these are your classes which the user has to define, the programmer has to define, except for one class which is built in, that is your string class. So character is a primitive with a small c, and string is a non-primitive with a capital S. Then you cannot call any methods with a primitive. So if I have integer I equals to, let's say, 5, I cannot call any methods. I cannot call any methods with a primitive, but I can call methods with an object. So if we have a string object, string name equals to ness, then using this name I can always call a method called as length, and there are many methods of the string class: name dot equals name dot compare to. I have many methods I can call with the help of a non-primitive, but with the primitive I cannot call any method. They always have a value. If you don't give a value, it will take the default value. So if I just say integer I, it will take the default value as 0. The default value of integer is 0. If I say float j, the default value of float is 0.0. If I say character x, the default value will be an empty single quote. Likewise, they all always have a value, but non-primitives can be null. Non-primitives can also be null. So if I just write over here string name and don't give any value, the content of the variable string is null. So non-primitives can be null. Primitives cannot be null. Primitive always start with lowercase. Observe this. This is very important. In the future course of this video, you'll understand this in much detail. Primitives are always in lowercase. Primitives are always in lower. Small c, small b, small s, small I, small l, small f, small d, small b. The reason I'm emphasizing on this, is this is the main difference between primitive and non-primitive. So there should be no ambiguity, there should be no confusion whatsoever. So just by looking at the code, you should know that this is a primitive type, this is a non-primitive type. All primitive start with small letter. In C also, in C++ also we have done the same. But your non-primitive will always start with uppercase. So that's why I have recommended you all, whenever you all name a class, always name it in capital. Whenever you all name a class, I have recommended you all always name it in capital. Okay, done. And size of the primitives depend on the data. The size of the primitive, they depend on the data. So the size is variable. The size is variable because depends on the data. So the size is variable as discussed above. The size are variable, 2 bytes, 4 bytes. But for non-primitive, the size is fixed. The size, they all have the same size. Okay. Now coming back to wrapper class. Now see, each country in the world has a corresponding capital. So if I take any country, it should be linked with its capital. Okay. Capital of Washington. Capital of this is what? Washington DC. Each country has a corresponding capital associated with it. Yes, no, maybe. Am I understood? Similarly, each primitive data type, each, how many are there? Total 8, have a corresponding wrapper class. Have a corresponding wrapper class. See this. Each primitive data type have a corresponding wrapper class. So int small, this is capital integer with the capital I and full name. Char with a small c and only 4 characters. Full character name is the wrapper class. So float with a small f is primitive. Float with the capital F is a wrapper. These are all built-in classes in the package java.lang. Which package are these in? Java.lang package. So you don't have to import them, they auto import themselves. Short with a small s is primitive, short with a capital S is a wrapper class. Long with a small l is primitive, long with a capital L is a wrapper class, so on and so forth. Now what these do is, for wrapper classes provide a way to use primitive data types as objects. What does it do? We'll study this in detail in this video. We can convert the primitive type into objects. Objects are what? So whenever I use the term object, you should use as a synonym for non-primitive. Object and non-primitives are synonyms. They go hand in hand. So if I say object or whether I say non-primitive is one and the same. So this below table shows the equivalent wrapper class for each of the 8 built-in data types. Okay, and they are in the java.lang package. Now what is the task of these wrapper classes? Very interesting. Now the interesting part will start from here. So if I have a integer int, the small I and int is what is a primitive data type. Using the wrapper classes, integer, boolean, float, blah blah blah, I can convert it to a non-primitive data type. That is to an integer object to a float object. So int can be converted to an integer object. Okay, this is converting a primitive to non-primitive. I'll explain you all over here. P to NP. Okay, see, this will explain the overview of it, then we'll go into the coding. So if I have a primitive type, integer A500, what is it? Primitive. So if I SOP A, output is 500, using the integer wrapper class, because as I have a integer primitive type, so I'll be using the integer wrapper class, I can convert it to an integer object, capital I, and then my int, and that value will be also 500. So if I SOP my int, it will output me 500. Now what is my int? My int is an object. My int is an object. So if I SOP an object, what happens? The SOP wants the data in which format? String format. If I pass an object, what happens? It converts that into a string. Who does that for you? The toString. So in your integer wrapper class, you have a toString method overridden. You have a toString method overridden which will convert it into a string. So cutting the long story short, this integer A, which is a primitive, can be converted into a myInt, which is an integer object, and this myInt then can be stored in the collection, and they both have the same values. Okay, see below I have shown it to you all. So if I try to put this primitive A in the collection, it will not allow me, a red cross. But if I put this myInt into the collection, it will allow me, yes, because it is an object and they both have the same values. So if you wish to put a primitive into a collection, you have to first convert it to an object with the help of wrapper classes, and once it is converted to an object, that object can be then put in the collections. So this is the first job of your wrapper class. It has 4 jobs. So first is convert a primitive into a non-primitive. So I'll just show you a code also, and we also run that code. See, I have an integer A500. What I do is I make an object of this integer class. Integer. Now my int is my object. How do we make an object in Java? Class name, object name, new class name. So I say integer my int new integer, and I pass the argument as A. So this A, which is of primitive type, now will be converted to an object which is my int. And now if I display the my int, it will output me 500. Let's run this code. So I have prepared a basic template and I've named the class as wrapper. Now when I run this code, it should display me 500. Let's test it. So I save it. Where my wrapper class is. Okay, and I've named the class as a wrapper.java, and let's run this now. Java C wrapper.java, and when I run this, it should show me the output as how much? 500, because this my int is an equivalent of this primitive integer. Clear? Very good. This was the first task of your wrapper classes. Convert a primitive type to non-primitive. Similarly, we can reverse this cycle also. So if I take water and if I freeze it, it becomes ice. If I take ice, if I boil it, it again becomes water. So same way, you can also, the second task is, you can again convert this non-primitive, that is an object, back to its primitive type. So if I take an integer object, I can put the wrapper classes, corresponding wrapper class. So if I take an integer object, I'll have to put the integer wrapper class. If I take the float object, I'll have to put the float wrapper class. If I take the boolean object, I have to put the boolean wrapper class, and I can convert it back to its primitive type. So see over here. So for that we have your functions. So for integer, you have a function called as int value. If you have an integer object, int value. If you have a byte object, byte value. Short object, short value. Self-explanatory. So see over here. So what was my int? My int was which object? My int was an object of which class? Integer class. So which method will I use for integer? Int value. So I will just apply this int value method and it will convert that object back to its primitive and I can display this. So so let's test this code. So I'll be just replacing the code. Okay, for documentation purpose, I guess we'll have to write it again. So for documentation purpose, I'll write it all over again. That's there. So let's take the value as x and int. Okay, no, we already have int object over here. So we'll have to override it. Sorry, we'll have to override this code. No. Okay. So what I'll do is, we already have the int value object over here, right? So no need to take the a again. Okay. Yeah, this should work. So my int, what is the value of my int now? We had displayed 500. The int value will convert it back to its primitive a, and now I am displaying a. So I'll comment this code. No, I have to use that code also because that is what is converting it into int value. So now it will display me 500 two times, one for this and one for this. Let's save. Let's compile. And now let's run. So 500 for each, 500. So when I display the object, that also is 500. When I display the primitive, that also is 500. So you can reverse it back to its primitive value also. Third use is convert a numeric string. Yeah, there's a catch over here. Numeric string. The string should be numeric. I can't have 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D. This is not a numeric. This is an alphanumeric string. The string should be purely numeric. So now I have a string by the name my string. The value is 1, 2, 3. Now I want to convert this 1, 2, 3 into an integer. This we've done initially also. Yes, we've done this in the start also. When we were studying the args array, the command line arguments args array. So how do I convert this? Put the wrapper class integer and the function is parse int because the type is integer. Below I have taken a float also. So this is my string. What is this value? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.3. So this is a float. So I have taken a float variable. I'll be using float.parseFloat. So you can convert a numeric string also into. So this is my numeric string. So there should not be any ambiguity in the variable. Let's take it as z. Integer parse int. And now if I display the z, over here, it should display me 1, 2, 3. So what have I taken? I've taken a numeric string, taken an integer variable z, converted this numeric string into a primitive and displayed the primitive. Compile, run, should display 500, 500 and 123. Perfect. I've made some diagrams also for your understanding. So this was for the first one. Convert a primitive to a non-primitive. Similarly, you can also convert a object, that is a non-primitive, back to its primitive using the wrapper classes. So my string gets converted to your object. And third, okay, this was that. So you can convert a non-primitive. So my int is an object to its primitive value. And third is you can convert a numeric string. You can convert a numeric string to its primitive type. I hope I am not confusing you all guys. You'll have to practice this to master it. And the fourth use of your wrapper classes is you can convert a object to a string. So once I have got my string, once I have got my int object, I can convert this int object to a string. I can further convert this. I can further convert this int object to a string. I just have to add one thing, the toString function. So I have to just add int to string. What will this do? This will convert my object to a string format. So this is what I've done over here. Int to string will convert it to a string. So what was there in int? What was there in int? 500. I convert it to a string. That name is my string. If I display the length of my string, it will output me 3. That is 500 is of 3 characters. So this is what wrapper classes do. They convert the primitive to non-primitive, then revert back the non-primitive to primitive. Then you can convert a numeric string to its primitive, and you can also convert a object to a string with the help of its corresponding wrapper classes. So I have taken example of 2 data types. You can play with other data types also. So in my examples, I have just used integer and float. So I have just used integer and float wrapper classes. You can try with long, double and other data types also. I hope I have tried my best to convince you all what are wrapper classes. And if you all have any issues, just drop in the comment box. Bye.